And welcome back to the show. As the world is reshaped by the COVID-19 pandemic, many industries will experience a transformation. The pandemic has changed the legal landscape and has also reshaped how many lawyers operate. Law firms across the country are innovating ways to continue to serve their clients while also trying to avoid financial disaster. While also doing this, they also are trying to make the best of a bad situation. And the question is, what influence has COVID made on the practice of law, and what will this mean moving forward? Joining us now to share a little bit more of the conversation, joined by the attorney and host of today's verdict, David Lesch, my friend and brother. David, good to have you back here on Open.
Darren, it's always good to see you. It's like coming home.
Anytime we talk about today's verdict, we have to talk about Open. That's where you first got your start, right?
That's everything. It's everything for me. I miss you guys, and hopefully we'll be in the studio soon. We could do this from there. I do have an update for you. It looks like in Brooklyn, federal courts will have their first jury trial, and that's going to start on Monday. You know, it's just quite amazing in terms of what they have to do to get this off the ground. I think, you know, you'll be extremely impressed with the walkie-talkies that have to be used so you could have a conversation with the judge, with your adversary, without going up to the bench and whispering. You know, like when you go up to the bench during a trial. Yeah. So now you can talk to the judge with your adversary on the walkie-talkie, and the judge has a walkie-talkie, because you can't go up to the bar and whisper, you know, so the jury doesn't hear anymore.
Right.
By the way, and the jury is behind plexiglass, so that in itself is a little strange. And the microphones and the things you need to use so that the jury hears you, forget about the double masking and the temperature taking, but you know, we're doing everything we can to try and get back to some type of normalcy. I've been lucky in terms of my practice. I haven't had any trials that I've needed to really do. Most of my cases have been settling. I've been going to mediation on my cases, virtual depositions, virtual conferences. Right now, I'm at my kitchen table. This is where I've been filming today's verdict. This is where I have all my conferences with the court. It's one of the easier things that has transpired as a result of COVID. But the hardest part of the legal landscape is the trials. And we have a lot of trial attorneys who are unhappy because they can't get into the courtroom. There are very few trials that are even allowed to go on right now. They're very difficult. There was one very famous case in New York about 2 weeks ago with an attorney who refused to put his mask on during the trial because he was having difficulty breathing. The trial judge didn't accept that, dismissed the case. Now it's on appeal. There's been outrage in the legal community about it because this was an elderly gentleman who was having difficulty just talking, and he tried to get the judge to give him permission to continue the trial without the mask. The judge wasn't going for it. So these are all new things that we're dealing with. And there are per diem attorneys who are hired by other attorneys to go into court and cover cases for you. They're hurting. They're not making any money.
Right.
Complete industry has just shut down for them. So, you know, it's the have and have nots in all aspects of COVID.
Let me ask the question here, because when you talk about how this has actually reshaped the landscape of the courtroom and also for lawyers, is it true that we're seeing a lot more people actually settle on cases simply to take the money, because we don't know how long before you get into a courtroom, how long before you get with the jury?
That's correct. And by the way, it's on both sides. Even the defense side, the insurance companies, you know, don't want to sit around with these cases also. And if they know they can move a case for 80% of the value as opposed to 100% of the value, they'll move the case too. So everyone's happy. The problem, Darren, is the very, very heavy cases, the ones, you know, over $1 million. Those are difficult cases to move sometimes unless you're actually picking a jury. That's what really forces both sides to get together and realize, I'm paying a lot of money for the experts. A lot of people are going to come into this courtroom. It costs a lot of money. Maybe we should just settle. And that's not happening with the big cases. But the smaller cases, yes. My clients are I tell them what's going on. I say, look, you're not going to get a trial in a year, maybe 2 years. You don't really know. So they're offering X amount of money. I suggest you take it. And most of them do. Almost all of them do. And the insurance companies also have been, very forthcoming with offers because they want to move the stuff too. And the judges who have been online have been trying to move the cases. So that has been a little bit of a blessing. But of course, there are areas, where the trial work is suffering, and that we're gonna have to wait a little bit for that.
Are we seeing more cases develop simply? I mean, a lot of people have been staying home, but in the fact of staying home, are you seeing still an insurgence of cases? I know that on the side, when you talk about landlord-tenant disputes, oh, that's going through the roof. But on the other side, in the area in which you deal, talk to me about what you're seeing.
Well, it's a mixed bag. I mean, at first there weren't a lot of people driving, so there weren't a lot of car accidents. Now, unfortunately, there are a lot of car accidents. People were staying in their apartments. The leaky ceilings are still there. So, it's the leaky ceilings fall on people and they get hurt. That's been happening. But there are, of course, going to be certain areas where people are not living as much, going out as much, walking the sidewalks as much. The things that lead to accidents. Medical malpractice. Nobody's seeing their doctors as much. Nobody's going in there for issues. So I guess it's been a mix. Getting the cases in has been, hit or miss. I know a lot of attorneys who are hurting, who have not been getting the cases. We've been lucky because our old clients have been referring new clients. So we do see it. There's been a little bit of a decline, but not that much. So basically, there are certain industries that are hit more than others during COVID. Obviously, let's say the travel industry. In my industry, there are areas within the legal industry that are being hit. So I wouldn't necessarily say that personal injury is being hit as hard, but if you're a trial attorney, you're getting hit. And if you're trying to get many cases in the door, you're probably getting hit. But
Yeah.
As anything, I think we're slowly coming at it.
I want to look at some numbers here and give me your thoughts. I mean, we have these numbers here that are regards to what actually law offices have had to contend with during this time. Law firms had some serious issues. 46% reduced partner draws, 40% reduced the salaries of fee earners, 34% furloughed support staff, 32% reduced the salaries of support staff, 36% discharged support staff, 11 discharged fee earners, and 79% of small firms and 46% of large firms receive government support, mostly through PPP.
Well,
I mean, we've never seen this before.
No, it's billing. I mean, think about it. Think about it, Darren. It's billing. If you're an attorney and you bill for an hour on the subway to get to the court. You bill for 2 hours while you're in the court. You bill for the hour back to the office. You bill for a half an hour to write up what happened. You're not doing that now. You could do it through your phone. You don't have to the commute. You don't bill for the commute. Well, if there's less billable hours, you're obviously not billing the insurance company as much, which means that you're not paying the attorneys as much, which means you have to let attorneys go. Which if you let attorneys go, you let go their assistants, you let go their paralegals, and it just keeps going and going and going. So yeah, those numbers are correct. It depends on the type of law that you're doing and the kind of work. Obviously, employment lawyers now, if you're dealing with COVID issues, well, they're booming because there are a lot of issues that are being lawsuits are being brought about COVID and whether or not somebody was wrongfully terminated, those types of things. That comes out. It depends on where you are in the legal industry, but you are correct. Many people have lost their job and many people are losing income. It's the have and it's the have-nots. In that's what COVID is. It's just some are the same. Some are even making more money. It just depends on where you are. It just hits different people differently.
In about a minute or less, can you summarize for me what can we expect to see short-term happening in the future by way of the court system?
I think a lot of this is here to stay, and I'm happy about it. I don't mind practicing many aspects of law from home. I have interviewed many different people from nursing homes this week on behalf of the court as a court evaluator. I didn't have to go to any nursing homes, which I've done. I've been to 50 nursing homes. As I do some Article 81 guardianship work, I don't have to do that. Much easier through the phones or through Zoom, FaceTime, whatever you want to say. I'd like that to stay. I don't want that to change. I don't think we can have a lot of conferences this way again. There are aspects that I think should stay, and I think will stay. The judges like it, the attorneys like it. People can stay home with respect to childcare. However, when it comes to trials, that has to go back because that has to be in person. You can't do that virtually. You cannot have jurors, one at a time on their phones. It's just not a jury room, and anybody else can talk to them while they're listening to the trial. It's just rife for misconduct. It's not going to happen. So the quick answer: some stuff's going to stay, some stuff's going to go back to the way it was. We're just going to have to wait to see for about 6 months.
All right, David, we're going to leave it there. Well, we want to let you know, thanks a lot, buddy, for being with us. And as always, great insight. And we know that, we talk about everybody being affected, but to hear from what actually lawyers are going from that perspective, very intriguing. Dave, thanks a lot.
Anytime, Daren. We'll see you soon.
All right, we'll see you soon, buddy. Listen, I want to let you know, if you want more information about David and his show, Today's Verdict, what I want you to do is follow him on social media and Twitter at David Lesch, and also at Today's Verdict. We do have more show. We encourage you to stay with us. Open will return coming up right after this.